June of 1955. Yeah, we get Ace the Bat Hound shows up in Batman number 92. Bill Finger and Sheldon Moldoff, and this is. I don't know if you remember, we did an episode early on. It was like episode number 5 of the show where we learned about Shelley Moldoff because at that time he was an apprentice for Bob Kane.
Right.
Goes off and does other books. Comes back in the 50s and is a huge, big-time artist on Batman.
Yeah, we've talked
throughout
about
the 50s.
him several times.
Inkster by Charles Paris. Win Mortimer does the cover art. Lou Schwartz was an artist that worked on Batman and is often listed as the co-creator of Ace. That I'm not sure how that works because like presumably there's like an interview in like Stranko's History of Comics or something that explains how that happened. That again, I'm on vacation. I didn't do that research.
Sure.
But I couldn't find it like through Googling because Schwartz stops being a ghost artist for Bob Kane in 1953. So, and this is 55. So he hasn't been doing art for Batman for years at this point. He's not an editor because, Whitney Ellsworth is an editor. Jack Schiff's an editor on Batman at the time. So, like, it's almost certain that he said somewhere, like, oh, yeah, Ace was my idea. But I couldn't find that. So,
Yeah.
Lou Schwartz.
Over and over again, like, figuring out some of the stuff
Sure.
has been really... I mean, even just at the top, you're talking about they're fighting over who did, what, Rex?
Yes. Yeah.
It was the Psy guy.
Well, it's so long ago, and they didn't think it was as important as we do.
Yeah, they were keeping the records.
Right.
Like, yeah.
But it's cool. Bill Finger's still kicking. Shelley Moldoff still kicking. This is one of the first times where we're coming to a new character, and it's like we've met all these people. Even the inker, Charles Paris. He's the guy with the horse upstate. He started by inking the newspaper.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Works from home.
Yeah, it's the guy that he had like the sweetest gig in the world.
Yeah, he got paid more to do the newspaper strip because it was like more prestigious.
Yeah.
But did less work.
And those were the what were those called? The weeklies or whatever? The
dailies.
Dailies.
He was doing
the
the dailies, not the weekends.
Right.
Yeah. You read this one. I made you read this one.
I did read this one.
Do you have any thoughts on it before we like summarize what happens for people?
There's a lot of impossible things
Sure.
that like don't make a lot of
Sure.
logical sense. That'll be kind of fun to like ping on.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of fun to add a dog.
Sure.
Kind of fun that he helps him with some
Yeah.
stuff, but also like significant issues with maybe revealing who that Batman and Robin are.
Yes.
Are
Yeah.
Dick and Bruce.
No, there's definitely like some circular logic and holes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on patrol one night, Dick and Bruce are out as Batman and Robin. They're in the Batmobile and they see from afar a dog drowning in a lake. Mm-hmm. I think this is interesting because like it's dark out, you're in a car, it's far away. Are you really going to see that?
Yeah.
Apparently they do. They rescue the dog. Next day, Bruce puts in the paper an ad like, "Hey, I found this dog. There's a picture and everything." Trying to find the owner. Meanwhile, they get a call from police headquarters, and they're running to the Batmobile, and the dog is like, "I'm coming with you," which, like, if you've ever had a dog before, super relatable. Like, every time I walk out the front door, she wants to come with me. She assumes she's coming with me.
Yeah.
And she's sad when she doesn't. She jumps in the Batmobile, and they're like, "Well, we got to go. Like, no time." And Robin realizes, like, "Hey, wait a minute," like you were saying, like identity stuff. We just put an ad in the newspaper that says, "Call Bruce Wayne if you see this dog," and now it's going to be running around with Batman and Robin. We can't have that.
And this is a very distinct looking dog.
Yes.
People identify it.
Yes. In fact, it looks like Rin Tin Tin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'll throw it up on the screen, like a picture of the illustration next to Rin Tin Tin.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a mask. So I don't know how. Like, while Batman goes into the...
He says he tears up a tool bag.
Okay.
Black cloth from tool bag, pulls it over the dog's head.
Comes up with a perfect cowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just roll on.
Yeah, so apparently, he makes the cowl while Batman is in GCPD. Mm-hmm. Gordon tells him, like, "Hey, there's this crime happening at this warehouse downtown," and they go to a warehouse that has like circus supplies. There's gigantic clowns. I don't know why. Bill Finger likes big things, like 3-story tall clowns.
Huge, like comically large, impossibly large.
Yes. They don't explain what the crime is. They don't explain, so this is a Comics Code thing, right? Like, we get the gist it's organized crime. They don't say that. They've got a single dude in, a monster outfit, and while they're there, the dog gets him. And so it's just an excuse for us to say, like, oh, maybe it's helpful.
So there's a point where it seems like maybe the bad guys like push the clown over to crush them or whatever, and Ace jumps out and warns them. And so he's like, oh, this dog saved our lives. Right. We would have been pancakes.
Exactly. They have this moment of realization of like, oh, it might be helpful to have this dog around. Later, they get a call from a guy named John Wilkers. They say, I'm the owner, right? So they go and they load up in the car and they drive as Bruce and Dick to this guy's house, but he's not there. Not only is Wilkers gone, like the house is like disheveled, like they were searching for something. Bruce finds out where they work, goes to their place of business, and they say, "Oh man, he hasn't been to work in 2 days." Which doesn't really make sense to me. Like, why? How? When did he call?
Well, I think the neighbor called and said, "My neighbor owns a dog just like that." You just
interrupted me.
No, it's fine.
These things.
I wasn't sure if I was right, but you're talking about it doesn't make sense. And I'm just saying something. But they say, "Yeah, my neighbor has a dog that looks just like that. I think that's my neighbor's dog."
Yep.
They go to the dude's house. It's been like ransacked.
Yeah.
So then they go to the dude's work, and the dude's work is like, yeah, we haven't seen him for a while either. Yeah. And then Batman's like, oh, the dog got out when
this happened.
The house is being ransacked. It's like bing, bang, boom. Sense.
Yep.
And then essentially what happens after that is
they're going to keep the dog because Wilkers is missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the dog starts to like sniff out and figure out where his owner is.
No. That's not what happens.
No?
No. So they go on it. This is another unrelated thing.
Yeah.
Where they go to GCPD and Gordon's like, it's so stupid the way they do it. There's a robbery happening at a paper mill, but I don't want you to do that. There's a kid that's missing. And so they drive.
And they split up, right?
That must be what happens.
Yeah.
So Robin goes with the dog to find the mother. The mother brings out a piece of clothing, and Ace sniffs it and goes and finds the kid. So that's just an excuse to see the dog being heroic.
And the kid is in a drain pipe. Like no one's
like a
looking, no one's finding him. Yeah, the dog finds him because he's got a nose that's 10,000 times stronger than a human.
It's just an excuse to have him do dog things.
Yeah.
Then very quickly and clumsily, right? There's the plot is that Wilker, the work that they go to earlier is a metal mill. Or a metal distribution or metal
refinery, I don't know, whatever it is.
And the gist is that Wilker has knowledge of how they print bonds, right? Banknotes, basically.
Yeah.
Presumably because he's involved in creating the press or something with the metal. They really skate past it really quickly.
It's an ink factory. It's not a metal factory.
So
that's where they go next.
Sorry. No, it's fine, and it's convoluted.
It's convoluted.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Wilker works for the metal company. There's a robbery at the paper mill. Batman and Robin are there, and they somehow put 2 and 2 together.
Because the paper is special paper for bonds.
Right, and Ace is like freaking out because he smells his owner at the paper mill. And it's like, what could they need with paper and water, or paper and metal? And he's like, I know what they need next. They need ink. Because obviously what they're doing is forging banknotes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then they go to the ink factory finally and catch the bad guys. But the way that goes is that first Batman and Robin go in without Ace. The mobsters are like,
we're ready
for you. Yeah. And they tie him up and leave him. Ace comes in, unties them.
Yeah, opens the window, saves them.
So instead of Robin being in peril and Batman saving him, it's Batman and Robin in peril. Ace saves them. Yeah. So he's hero from the very beginning.
It's one heck of a dog.
Yeah. Wilker, the guy that's helping them print the banknotes, is like, oh, thank you for saving my dog. And at this point, if you're remember the premise of like, he's got to have the cowl because Bruce Wayne is the one that put the ad in the paper. You're like, okay, well, now their cover's blown, right?
Yeah.
Well, they took a photo somehow. I assume Alfred dresses up as Batman.
They say that.
Okay. It's Bruce Wayne shaking hands with Alfred and the dog in the picture. And it's like somehow Batman and Robin knew that Wilker's dog, they figured it out. And they called Bruce Wayne. They got the dog to help him find Wilker.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's how it works.
Yeah, it was basically like Batman's like, yeah, Bruce and I are friends. He let me borrow this dog for this thing. And cover's blown, and he's like, well, good thing we have this picture of Bruce and Batman in the shot at the same time.
Just so you know, I'm not Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. And then Robin being like very clear for us readers is like, but we can't let him ever know that it's Alfred dressed up as Batman.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
And then Wilker's like, oh, you know, if you ever need a crime-fighting dog again, like, thank you for bringing my dog back, and also you can borrow him.
Yeah.
The end. And that's the first outing of Ace the Bat Hound. I think much more than Crypto, he's a hero from the get-go.
Yeah.
Has more in common with Rex, the Wonder Dog. And in fact, given that Rex the Wonder Dog is named after Ace the Wonder Dog, and this is Ace the Bat Hound, and, Cy Berry saying, hey, I inked Rex, it actually, people always say, like, oh, Comics Code, because this is me doing research, like, what's the font of the Comics Code? And the one that people always go for is, like, just a few months later, we get the dogs.
Yeah.
And it's, like, Crypto and then Ace. And so, like, obviously that's how it fell out. But if, like, DNA-wise, to me, this shares far more with Rex than it does with Crypto.
No, I agree with that. Mm-hmm.
And, like, yeah, this is the turn. It's starting to become even more kid-friendly. Like, the mobsters, they don't even really say they're mobsters. You don't see them, you know, plotting.
Yeah.
They talk a lot less. It is a Bill Finger, like, convoluted business plot.
Yeah. And Bill Finger's always organized crime. It's not fantastical, right?
But they can't really say that as much.
But they... Visually, they say it really clearly because they're all wearing pinstripe suits and fedoras and stuff. Yeah.
But like we've pivoted hard to the focus is the dog, right? And so it's becoming a little bit more Silver Age silly. Right away.
Well, and it does kind of still smack of some of those like they only survived this by luck kind of thing. Because like if they hadn't found that dog, they would have been tied up. They would have been screwed. Thank goodness they found this dog that can open windows and untie us and stuff. It reminds me of like solving the Catwoman thing because the note flew out of the boat and back in.
They're supposed to be the heroes of the story, but are they? Yeah. So, but Ace and Crypto become very popular. They sell books, so they're recurring characters throughout the Silver Age.
Yeah. Well, and then it's fun because at home you can say I'm Robin and my dog here is Ace. Yeah. Right? And then we got two of the trio here. Yeah. Where's Batman? Well, we're doing this without him because he went to deal with the steel mill thing, and that's we're over here dealing with Johnny and the
sidekick.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the Batman's Batman. We got the sidekick. Yeah.